Hello everyone. In our last video, we discussed about Euclid's division lemma. Today, in this part, I am going to start fundamental theorem of arithmetic. That is a part of real numbers chapter. So, let us come to the next topic, that is fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Before discussing this theorem, I just want to discuss a very important topic which you must have studied in your previous classes, that is prime factorization. Because to explain this fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we need prime factorization method. For example, we have to find out the prime factors of 42, suppose. So for this we will be needing prime numbers. So let me start with what is a prime number, what is a prime number, composite number, and similar to this we have another term which we are going to use further in this chapter, that is co-prime numbers. So I will be starting with prime number, then we will come to the question. So for prime number, it is very simple definition of prime number. The numbers which have exactly two factors. Numbers which have exactly two factors are called prime numbers. ऐसे नंबर्स जिनके सिर्फ दो ही फैक्टर होते हैं उनको हम प्राइम बोलते हैं, और इन दो फैक्टर में से भी आउट ऑफ दिस टू फैक्टर्स वन इज नंबर वन एंड अदर इज नंबर इटसेल्फ. इट मींस प्राइम नंबर के दो फैक्टर में से एक तो वो नंबर खुद होता है और एक वन होता है. ऐसे नंबर्स को हम प्राइम नंबर्स बोलते हैं. द एग्जांपल्स आर प्राइम नंबर like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13 and so on. So these are the prime numbers. Thereafter we come across composite numbers, and that is the thing which is useful in fundamental theorem of arithmetic. And thereafter we will come to the proof of irrational numbers, like prove that root 2 is irrational, prove that root 3 is irrational, or some combination of them. So we'll be using co-prime numbers, definition of co-prime numbers over there. So now moving further, let me come to the composite numbers. So let us discuss about this. In a simple definition, we may assume that composite numbers are numbers which are not prime, but it is not a correct definition, because for all natural numbers, 1 is a number which is neither prime. 1 is neither prime nor composite. 1 ना तो prime होता है ना ही composite होता है. So we cannot say कि all numbers which are not prime are composite. ऐसे नंबर जो prime नहीं है उनको हम composite बोल दें, ऐसा हम नहीं लिख सकते, because 1 is neither prime nor composite. So what are composite numbers then? So let us come to the definition of composite number. As we have seen, the definition of prime number is the numbers which have exactly two factors. Out of these two, first factor is that number itself and second factor is 1. Here, if composite numbers are the numbers, composite numbers are numbers which have more than two factors. More than two factors. Earlier for prime it was exactly 2. Now we need more than 2. Any number of factors, but it should be more than 2. Means it cannot be exactly 2. It cannot be only one factor. but it should be more than 2 factors. Then such numbers are called composite numbers. So let us look at the examples. The smallest composite number is 4. Why? The number of factors of 4 are 1 is one factor, 2 is other factor, and 4 itself is the factor. So the total number of factors are 3. So this is more than 2. So we can say 4 is the composite number, or we can also say 4 is the smallest composite number. Similarly, 2 is the smallest prime number, as well as 2 is the only even prime number. Thereafter 3, 5, 7, 11, all numbers are odd numbers. Only even prime number is 2. Here the smallest composite number is 4, and after this, if we exclude 1 from the natural number and if we take out prime numbers, all remaining natural numbers will be composite numbers. So this is all about prime numbers and composite numbers. Now let us come to co-prime numbers. As the name suggests, there should be some prime numbers, but it is not like that. Co-prime numbers can be non-primes. Co-prime numbers can be non-prime numbers, means they can be composite also. But as we say, we have discussed about prime and composite for single digit. Means we are saying that 2, 3, 5, 7, these are prime numbers, means we are talking about only single number. Then composite 4, 6, 8, like this, all these are single digits which are composite. Or when we move further, there can be more than one unit. But in case of co-prime numbers, there will be 2 numbers required. It means we will be needing 2 separate numbers. For example, if we take 2 and 3, if we take 4 and 5, these 2 examples are, these 2 and 3 are together co-primes. 4 and 5 together co-primes. Why so? As we know that 2 and 3 are primes, so there will be only one common factor out of these 2, that is 1, because the factors of 2 are 2 and 1, factors of 3 are 3 and 1. But if we talk about the common factor, it is only 1, that is 1. So it is co-prime. Then when we come to this number, now see, this 4 is not prime, but still we are using in explanation of co-prime. The number of factors of 4 are 1, 2 and 4. Similarly, the factors for 5 are 1 and 5, as it is prime, and there are more than 2, that is 1, 2 and 4, as it is composite. Now when we look at the common factors, there is only one common factor, that is 1. So by this example, we can conclude that co-prime numbers are the numbers which have only one common factors. So the definition of co-prime number is numbers having exactly one as common factor. Numbers having exactly 1 as their only common factor. Numbers having exactly 1 as only common factor. अगर ऐसे कोई 2 नंबर हैं जिनका सिर्फ एक ही कॉमन फैक्टर आ सकता है और वो भी 1, ऐसे नंबर्स को हम co-prime numbers कहते हैं. This definition of co-prime will be using in further discussion. Now let us come to our current topic, that is fundamental theorem of arithmetic. For this I will be needing prime factorization. Now we are able to find out what are prime numbers. So we will start with the prime factorization first. This topic you must be knowing, but still I want to include in this lecture because I need to explain everything for fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So I have taken 42 in the earlier part. So let us try to find out the prime factors of this number 42. For this, what we need, we have a list of prime numbers like 2, 3, 5, 7 and so on. We always start our division with the smallest prime number, that is 2. So we try to divide this number by 2. If it is divisible, then only we can use this number. Here it is very clear that 2 is the ones place, so it is even number, it is divisible by 2. So we divide 42 by 2, 4 divided by 2, we get 2, then 2 divided by 2, we get 1. Now we have a new number, that is 21. Again we have to see whether this new number is divisible by 2 or not. So as we can see, this ones place is 1 here. It is odd, so it is not divisible by 2. So this number is not possible now in the further factors. So we will move to 3. Now to check whether a given number is divisible by 3 or not, what we have to do? We have to just find out the sum of digits. Here 2 and 1 is there, so sum of digits is 3. If the sum of digits is divisible by 3, then that number will be divisible by 3. So this here the sum of digits is coming out to be 3, so it is divisible by 3. So the number 21 is also divisible by 3. As we know, we divide 21 by 3, we get 7. Now 7 is the prime number which is divisible by itself only. So in this way we get remainder 1. So this process is completed till we get 1 as the dividend. So this is how we find out the factors by using prime factorization. This method is prime factorization method. Now we can express 42 is equals to 2 into 3 into 7. Now the important part is fundamental theorem of arithmetic. What is the statement of this theorem? The statement says every composite number, as we know 42 is having 3 factors. These are only primes. We have to use all factors, so it will be more than 3, but we are using here only 3 prime factors. So this is a composite number for sure. So if we talk about the statement of this theorem, I will explain this you with the help of this example only. Every composite number, just like 42 here, can be expressed as product of its prime factors. These are the factors of 42 and they all are prime. So we can write 42 as product of these prime numbers. So this is what fundamental theorem of arithmetic is all about. Now let us write the statement of this. The statement is like this. Every composite number can be expressed as product of its prime factors. This is the statement of this theorem. Every composite number can be expressed as product of its prime factors. So now let us come to the application part of this. So this is all about the statement, and I have gone through everything. The basics I have included in this part. Now let us come to the main part of this theorem. Let us take certain examples. The question is express following numbers as product of prime factors. So now let us take some questions, some numbers like if we take 64, if we take 91, if we take 225, these all are some simple numbers. So now let us discuss them one by one. If we talk about 64, we can find out the factors of 64 by using prime factorization method. It is very simple to find out. So what we can write, we have to divide it by 2 as it is even number. 6 divided by 2, it is 3. 4 divided by 2, it is 2. So we are getting 32. Again this is even, so we can divide it again by 2. 3 divided by 2 is 1, 1 will remain 1 and then next digit is 2, so it will become 12. Now 12 divided by 2 is 6. Again 16 is a even number, so again we can divide it by 2. 16 divided by 2 we get 8. Now again 8 is even, so divided by 2 we get 4. Then again 4 is divided by 2 we get 2, and again 2 is divided by 2, that is 1. So what we did to find out the factors, prime factors of this number 64, what I did, सबसे पहले 64 को 2 से डिवाइड किया, जो आंसर आया 6 को 2 से डिवाइड किया 3 आया, 4 से 2 को डिवाइड किया 32 आया, तो सो एज ए होल ये नंबर 32 आया. अगेन यह नंबर इवन नंबर है, तो फिर से इसे 2 से डिवाइड किया जा सकता है, 2 से डिवाइड किया फिर से 16 आया. अगेन इट इज इवन, divided by 2 we get 8, and further till we get 1 as the dividend. So these are the factors of 64. Similarly we can find out the factors of 91. Here this is not even, so it can be divided by 2. Then sum 9 plus 1 10, so it can't be divided by 3 as well. Then comes 5. A number is divisible by 5 if its ones place is 0 or 5. If for any number, if the ones place is either 0 or 5, then it is divisible by 5. Like this, here this can be divided by 5, but whenever there is 5, then only we have to divide by 5, because 0 will be included in even part. So that number will be first divided by 2, then we will move to 5. So for 5 we have to only think about 5 at ones place. Then, so this is not 5 here at ones place, so it is not divisible by 5. Next prime number is 7. Now it is divisible by 7. 7 1 plus 7. Remainder is 2, so 21. So 21 divided by 7 we will get 3. Now 13 is again prime, so it will be divided by 13 itself. So we are getting 7 and 13 as the prime factors of 91. Now 225. This is not even, so we have to skip 2. Now think about 2. 2 plus 2 4, 4 plus 5 9. 9 is divisible by 3, so this number will be divided by 3. Divided by 3, what we will get? This 2 is not divisible, so we will consider 2 digits at a time. 22 is there, so in table of 3 nearby number is 21, so that comes in 7. So 3 7 are 21, 1 will remain as the remainder. So 1 5 it will become 15, so 15 divided by 3 will be 5. So this is what we get. Again we have to check about 3. Now see, if once a number is divided by 3, we have to make sure that this is not divisible by 2, then only we will come to 3. Now as we are dividing by 3 this part, so we have to again check for 3. If it is not divisible by 3, then we will move to the next prime number, that is 5. So if we add these two digits, 7 plus 5, again it is 12, so it is divisible by 3. This we will get 25. Then 2 plus 5, 7. 7 is not divisible by 3, so the next prime number is 5. And clearly it is divisible by 5 times, and again 5 is divisible by 5, so 1 will remain. So now according to the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we can write these numbers as the product of their prime. So we will be writing 64 is equals to how many factors are there? 1 2 3 4 5 6. So we have to multiply 6 times this factor 2. So this we are getting. Now this is 6 times, so we can write it as 2 power 6. So this is how we express any composite number by using fundamental theorem of arithmetic. For 91 we can write there are only two vectors, 7 and 13, so 7 multiplied with 13. Here no power is there, it means it is 1 and 1 only. There is no need to write if the power comes 1 only. Then the factors of 225 is 3 3 5 5. So it is 3 into 3 into 5 into 5. Now 3 is twice, so 3 power 2. 5 is also twice, so 5 power 2. This is how we use this fundamental theorem of theorem of arithmetic to express any composite number in form of their prime factors. So this is the basic idea of this fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So this is, we can say, the first application of this. Now by using this method, prime factorization method, you are aware of calculating HCF. But as we studied in our last lecture about calculation of HCF by using Euclid's division lemma, here we are going to use fundamental theorem and we will find out the HCF. So here I am writing one question, that is, find HCF and LCM of, let us take very simple example, 20 and 25 by using prime factorization. So let us discuss about this. So here what we can do, first of all, the method is prime factorization, so we will be needing the prime factors of 20 and 25. So let us find out the prime factors of 20. We divided by 2, we get 10, divided by 2 again, we get 5, and divide it by 5 again, we get 1. 25 के फैक्टर्स निकालने के लिए इसको 5 से डिवाइड किया जाता है, फिर 5 से करते हैं, so we get 1. Now this can be expressed as the primes. So 20 is 2 into 2 into 5, 2 into 2 into 5, and 25 is 5 into 5. If we use fundamental theorem, we can write it as 2 power 2 into 5, and 25 is 5 power 2. Now the main part is how we write LCM and HCF by using the same method. Now you must be wondering that these separate factors we calculate for calculation of HCF, but you must have seen this thing in your previous classes also. We can find out LCM by using this method, so that we are going to discuss here. First of all, HCF of these two numbers 20 and 25, that is, here the HCF, the full form of HCF is highest common factors. So here first of all we need to search common factor. So here the only common factor is, here only 5 is available as a factor, and here also we have 5. So the common factor is 5. Now this is the common factor 5, but we need highest power. So highest power and that too need to be common. So 5 is the factor and the highest power which is common is, highest power common means minimum power which is available in both the numbers, or more than 2 numbers are there, then also we have to seek a number that is common in all those numbers. So here the minimum power of 5 is 1, which is available in both the numbers. So HCF will be 5 power 1, that is 5. Now LCM by using these factors only. LCM calculation is somewhat different from HCF. Here we need least common multiple. So for calculation of multiple, as the name says, multiple is always a bigger number than the number except itself. Suppose we need multiple of 20, then the smallest multiple will be 20 itself. All other multiples will be greater than this. So for this it is least common multiple, but the common multiple of these two, and in that we need the least one. So by using these factors, then that can be calculated. Here what we have to do, for any numbers, for example in this question 20 and 25 are the numbers for which we are calculating LCM. So for this what we have to do, we have to write the different numbers available, different factors, prime factors available in the factorization of these numbers. So here we have 2, 5 and 5. So we have two different factors, that is 2 and 5. Now we have to take the highest possible factor. So here 2 is only one time, that is, and highest power is also 2. So 2 power 2 we will include. And for 5, here we put in 20 we have highest power 1, and in 25 we have 2. So the highest power possible is 1 and 2. So out of these two numbers the highest is 2, so we will include 2 here. Let me explain this thing again. HCF के लिए हम ऐसा फैक्टर देखते हैं जो दोनों नंबर में अवेलेबल हो. जैसे यहाँ पर हम देख सकते हैं 5 है, इसमें सबसे मिनिमम पावर जो कॉमन है वो है 1, इसलिए HCF ऑफ 20 and 25 is 5. बट LCM निकालने के लिए हमको ये देखना है कि जितने भी नंबर दिए गए हैं क्वेश्चन में उनके फैक्टर्स में कितने अलग अलग फैक्टर्स आए हैं. यहाँ पर सिर्फ 2 ही फैक्टर हैं, 2 and 5, और यहाँ पर भी 5. So the only possible values are 2 and 5. Now we have to write the highest possible value factor. So here it is 2 power 2, so we have included highest power of 2, that is 2, and the highest power of 5 is here 1 and 2, so the highest one is 2, so we have included 2. Now multiply and get the answer. 2 power 2 is 4, 5 power 2 is 25, so the answer is 100. So the least common multiple of 20 and 25 is 100. So this is how we apply prime factorization method in fundamental theorem of arithmetic to calculate LCM and HCF of given numbers. This can be applied to for more than 2 numbers. It can be applied for 2 numbers as well. Right? Now moving further to the second application of this, I will be using the same question. The answer of this question, HCF is 5 and LCM is 100. So let me write this here, then I will discuss the second part of this. HCF of 20 and 25 we have calculated as 5, and the LCM of 20 and 25 we have calculated as 100. So this I am going to use in our next discussion. Now look here, if we multiply these two, like if we multiply HCF of these two numbers 20 and 25 and LCM, what we get? The value of LCM, in this place we will apply value of LCM, that is 100, and the value of HCF is 5. So 100 into 5, it is 500. So we can say it is in simple terms LCM into HCF is equals to 500 for these two numbers. Now multiply the numbers. If we say product of numbers, the first number was 20 and the second number was 25. What we are getting again? 500. And the result is very surprising. LCM and HCF of these two numbers is same as product of the number itself. So from here we are getting a very important result, that is, if we have two numbers A and B, then the product of their LCM and HCF will be equals to the product of numbers A and B. And very important thing is that this is applicable only for two numbers, that is A and B. If there is a third number, then this formula will not be valid. So this can be only used when we have only two numbers A and B. Here the value of A is 20 and the value of B is 25. So this is how we deal. Now let us write that in as a formula. So we can say if A and B are two numbers, A and B are two numbers, then LCM of A and B multiplied with HCF of A and B will come to a very important result, A into B. This is valid for any two numbers. If we take A and B, any two numbers, we calculate LCM and HCF, this will be valid for them. Now, what are application of this? Suppose we consider the previous question. I am just not calculating the LCM and HCF. We are not proving this. The question can be like this: if LCM of 20 and 25 is equals to 100, find HCF using LCM. The question is like this. Now, what is given to us? The LCM of these two numbers is 100. We have to find HCF now by using LCM. Means we cannot factorize these two numbers and get LCM. We have to use this result. So HCF by using LCM can only be done by using this formula that I am going to show you. So according to this relation, we have LCM into HCF is equals to A into B. So now substitute the value. LCM is given as 100 into HCF is equals to A here is 20 and B is 25. So HCF will come out to be, we multiply this, we get 500 upon 100. When this number is in multiplication, when we change the side of this from LHS, we are shifting it to RHS. You must have seen this in the simple equations in class 8. What we have to do, where if it is in multiplication, it will go in division, so it will come over there. So we can cancel these zeros here. In other terms, we are dividing this 500 by 100, so we will come to a number that is 5. So HCF of 20 and 25 by using this formula is 5. Now the same can be reversed, like if HCF of these two numbers is 5, find LCM using HCF, then again the same formula can be used. Here this value will be unknown, this HCF will be there, then again the number will be multiplied and divided, so we will get LCM. So this is how we use the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Now there is a very simple application, like we have to prove that 5 into 3 into 2 into 1 plus 5 is composite. This kind of question is there. So for this, what we have to do, can be we can include some more numbers in it. We treat it as two numbers, that is one this in form of factors 5 into 3 into 2 into 1, and here we have only one factor 5. In between we will be having a symbol plus. So for this proof of this as composite, what we have to do, we will take out 5 common from both of the terms. If we take 5 out of this, we will get 3 into 2 into 1. 3 to the 6 plus 1, 6 into 1, it is 6. Plus, if we take out 5, so 1 will remain. Means, if we divide 5 by 5, we will be getting 1. So, it is taken as common and 1 will remain. So, finally, what we are getting? 5 into 7. So, this number, whatever number it may be, the number of factors here we are getting is 5 and 7, means 2 factors we are getting, and whatever number it is, we can easily find out this is what number. So for this we have 2 factors, factor number 1 is 5, factor number 2 is 7, and there is another one, that is third, which is always there for any number, that is 1. So we can say there are more than 2 factors, so this is composite. So this is how we deal with this kind of problem. Whenever we have such a question, just separate them from this plus sign. We will treat this as a whole. One single term is this in multiplication term, and then single digit will be there. Whatever single digit is available, we have to take it out. Suppose here we get 3 in place of 5, then we have to take out 3. Then we will multiply the remaining numbers and write plus 1 here. So this way we can prove that two factors will be available here and one is always there. So total is more than 2. So it is always composite. So this is all about fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Thank you. So in this first chapter till now what we have discussed, we firstly discussed about the Euclid's division lemma, then just now we discussed about the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. And as I told you in the first video that I will be covering total 4 topics. First one was division lemma, second fundamental theorem of arithmetic, third is about rational numbers and fourth is irrational number. So now first of all I will be taking up the irrational number part. As we know that irrational numbers are numbers which can't be written in form of p by q. Now let us take very simple question you might be having, that is we have to prove that suppose root 2 we are taking, it is a very simple irrational number, is irrational. We want to prove that root 2 is irrational. Here the method which we are going to use is called contradiction method. Contradiction method means whatever we want to prove, we will assume the wrong side of that, the opposite of that. Like the numbers, as we have discussed, the numbers which are not rational are irrational numbers. So I will be using this term that root 2 is rational, then I will prove this thing wrong that it is not rational. So automatically we will conclude that root 2 is not rational. So we say this is irrational. So how to start? It is very important. Like just now we have discussed about co-prime numbers that I have to use here. So the solution of this question will be like this. Before starting this, I just want to tell you very important thing, that the whole solution will be same for all kind of irrational numbers under radical sign. Like if we take root 3, we take root 5, root 7, root 11, root 13, it is same for all. So whatever method it is available, it can be proved for any other prime number under radical sign. So this is going to be the first and last proof. And then we have some questions like combination of this 3 plus root 2 is irrational, or if we multiply some factor 3 root 2 is irrational, or we can say 3 upon root 2 is irrational. These kind of questions will be having. It can be subtraction also, that root 2 minus 5 is irrational. These all kind of questions may come there. So for proving them all, we will be needing the proof of this. This we have to prove first, then only we can come to those questions. So let us start. What we are going to do is we will assume that root 2 is rational. So what we will write, let us assume that root 2 is rational. As I told you, we will not take it as irrational. We will consider it as rational, and then we will prove that it is not rational. So by properties of real number, that numbers which are included in rational and irrational total come to real numbers. So if it is not rational, then obviously it will be irrational. So I am taking it as rational. Let us assume that root 2 is rational. So we can write root 2 is equals to, that is what? Root 2 is equals to, if it is rational, it can be represented in form p by q, where this p and q means numerator and denominator are co-prime integers. This p and q are co-prime integers, and the denominator is not equals to 0. This is our assumption. Root 2 is equals to p by q, where p and q are co-prime integers and q is not equals to 0. हमने ये मान लिया कि root 2 जो है वो p by q के फॉर्म में है और p और q दोनों means numerator और denominator दोनों co-prime integers है. Now come to this part. Co-prime means the numbers have only one common factor, that is 1. Means there is no other common factor of p and q than 1. 1 के अलावा कोई भी कॉमन फैक्टर इनका नहीं है, ऐसा हम मान के चल रहे हैं. So this is how we start. Now we can cross multiply them. Root 2 can be written as root 2 upon 1. Now cross multiply them, we will be getting root 2q is equals to p. Now to remove this root sign, we can easily remove it by using squaring. So squaring both sides. Squaring both sides, what we will get? Root 2q whole square is equals to p square. So by using this, what we are getting? Root 2 square. Now it will come out to be 2q square is equals to p square. Now this is very important fact, but before that I just want to discuss why I am writing root 2 square as 2. And the q is present there, so q square is q square. So I am writing root 2 square as 2 here. So why I am writing this? Let us come to this fact. You must be knowing that root 2 is nothing but 2 power 1 by 2. So when we square it, what we have to write? 2 power 1 by 2 whole power 2. It means 2 power 1 by 2 into 2. This 2 and 2 will be cancelled, so finally we will be getting 2 power 1, that is 2. So this is the reason why whenever we have radical sign and its square, whenever we want to remove square from any number, what we simply do, we square that equation and we get the root sign or radical sign removed from there. So this is the reason behind this. I am just removing it from here. So this is how we deal this problem. So we cross multiplied it and then squared. So root 2q whole square is equals to p square. So 2q square is coming out to be equals to p square. So now this is really important result. Now I hope you have written all these things. So I am removing this from this. Now we will be using this result. So I am writing here 2 root 2q whole square is 2q square is equals to p square. Now look at this result. This p square, as we said, p is some co-prime integer, is coming out to be twice of some square of some other number. It means p square is having a factor of 2. What does it mean? P square is having a factor of 2. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि P जो भी नंबर होगा उसका स्क्वायर जो होगा उसका एक फैक्टर 2 होगा. It means this number whatever it is which is equals to P square will be divisible by 2. So from here we can write P square is divisible by 2. P square is divisible by 2. Why we are writing so? Because p square is coming out to be 2 into q square, means q square is some other perfect square number and it is 2 multiplied here. So whenever we are multiplying q square by 2, we are getting a perfect square number, means this 2 will be a factor of p square. Now if the square of any number is divisible by 2, then we may write p is also divisible by 2. If p square is divisible by 2, then surely p is also divisible by 2, as we can say if square of any number is divisible by 2. For example, if p is something like 4, if p is 4, square of 4 is 16. This 16 is divisible by 2. If we divide 16 by 2, we get 8. Then the value of p means 4 is also divisible by 2. So this is the reason why we write p square is divisible by 2. So p is also divisible by 2. This is how it goes. Now This is, we are writing at the first fact we have, that is P is divisible by 2. Now come to this part. Here we have proved that P is divisible by 2. Now we have to replace this P, which we have already proved that it is divisible by 2, so that we can prove that Q is also divisible by 2, and finally we can say P and Q both are divisible by 2, means they have a common factor of 2. So this we have to deal. So here what we have to do, put P is equals to some other number, like we have used P and Q here, so we will be using some other. It can be anything other than P and Q. So let us use 2C. Now there might be a question in your mind, why I am writing 2C here, why not 3C? As we are proving root 2 is irrational, we have to use 2C. If we will prove root 3 is irrational, we will use P is equals to 3C. If we are proving root 5 is irrational, we have to use P is equals to 5C. This way. So now replace P is equals to 2C in the previous result here. So what we will get? 2Q square is equals to P square. P will be replaced by 2C whole square. So here we are getting 4C square. Now this Q square can be written as 4C square. This is 2Q square. This 2 will go to RHS. So we will get this. This 4 can be divided by 2. So finally I am getting a result, Q square is equals to 2C square. So from here again we have a result just like this. Here it was P square is equals to 2Q square. Now here Q square is 2C square. So it is somewhat similar to that Q square is having a factor of 2. So we can write from this, Q square is divisible by 2, and hence Q is also divisible by 2. This is our second fact. Here we got P is also divisible by 2 and Q is also divisible by 2. This is, by using these two we can conclude P is having a factor of 2, Q is having a factor of 2, and P and Q both are divisible by 2, means they have a common factor 2. So let us proceed. So clearly we can write from 1 and 2, P and Q both are divisible by 2. P and Q both are divisible by 2. Hence P and Q are having a common factor as 2. This implies P and Q are not co-primes. This is really important. We have assumed in earlier part of this solution that P and Q are co-primes and they do not have any common factor. Here what we are getting as a result, P and Q are having a common factor, that is 2, that is other than 1. So P and Q are not co-prime. This is true. Co-prime numbers are those numbers which have only one common factor, that is 1. Here we are able to find out some other number which is not 1, and hence these P and Q are not co-primes. Now as we have assumed this is coming out to be wrong, our assumption is coming out to be wrong. Why? So we have to write this contradicts, or we can write this disproves our assumption that P and Q are co-primes. This disproves or contradicts our assumption that P and Q are co-primes. So I am repeating it again. From first and second fact, we can write P and Q both are divisible by 2, so they have a common factor is 2. So clearly it can be said they are not co-prime. So this contradicts our assumption that P and Q are primes, co-primes. So hence we can write, so if they are not co-prime, then that assumption is wrong. So our assumption that root 2 is rational is wrong. Our assumption that root 2 is rational is wrong. So root 2 is not rational. And as we know by the definition of real number, any number which is not rational, they need to be irrational. So hence root 2 is irrational. This is how we prove this whole question. This is the end of this question. Now, as I told you that if we are proving for root 2, root 3, root 5, root 7, this is same thing. Wherever we are writing root 2, we can replace it with root 3, root 5, root 7. And in that substitution part, when we have written P is equals to 2c. In case of root 3, we will write P is equals to 3c. For root 5, we will write P is equals to 5c. For root 7, we will write P is equals to 7c, and so on. Wherever we are, then the common factor will come out to be, here it was common factor 2. So in case of root 3, it will be 3. In case of root 5, it will be 5. And in case of root 7, it will be 7, and so on. So this is how we prove root 3 or root 2, root 3, root 5, all these prime numbers under radical sign as irrational. Thank you. So after proving root 2 irrational, I will be taking you to next step. Suppose now we know that root 2 is irrational. Now we are able to prove that root 2 is irrational. Now there is a question like, if we want to prove 3 plus root 2 is irrational, first question means the combination of a whole number and an irrational number. We can say rational and irrational. If we have multiplication of this like 3 root 2, if we have this irrational part in denominator, or it can be separated also like root 2 minus 5, all we want to prove that they are irrationals. You must have studied in your 9th class that the sum, the subtraction, the multiplication and the reciprocal, all of any irrational number is always irrational. So this we want to prove by using that result. So I am writing these all parts here. I will be taking one by one, like 3 plus root 2, 3 root 2, 1 by root 2, root 2 minus 5, and we will be proving them one by one. So let me start with first part, that is to prove 3 plus root 2 is irrational. Our first part is prove that 3 plus root 2 is irrational. Now see, when we are writing this, the starting is same as the previous one, that is, let us assume that 3 plus root 2 is rational. हम ये ही assume करेंगे जैसा कि हमने रूट 2 को प्रूव करने में एज्यूम किया था. So that is, we can write 3 plus root 2 is equals to p by q, where the same thing we have to write, p and q are co-primes, p and q are co-primes, and q is not equals to 0. This is the same assumption for all these parts. We have to assume like this only, that we have to assume that the given combination of rational and irrational is rational only. Then we will prove this wrong. But this portion, this kind of question is very simple to prove, as we know that this number root 2, I have taken root 2 here, you can take any other number, and we have to prove, we want to just prove that these combinations are irrational, so we will be using their result that this number is irrational. Now from this, what we are going to do, for every case we have to write like this, 3 plus 2 root 2 is p by q, or 3 root 2 is equals to p by q, or 1 by root 2 is equals to p by q, or root 2 minus 5 is equals to p by q. The same will write for all parts. So I will be taking one by one. So the first part is like this. So we have taken this. Now from this, find out the value of root 2. So what we have to do, root 2 will remain in LHS. We have to shift this 3 to right hand side. Here it is plus 3. So when we shift it to right hand side, जब भी हम किसी पॉजिटिव नंबर को LHS से RHS या RHS से LHS में शिफ्ट करते हैं, तो उसका साइन चेंज हो जाता है. तो ये प्लस 3 है, यहाँ कुछ भी साइन नहीं है, मींस इट इज पॉजिटिव. So when we will shift, it will come out to be minus 3. Then we can easily write it as 3 upon 1. Now cross multiply it. What we will get? Q into 1 means Q. Q multiplied with 1. Then cross of this P into 1, that is P. Then minus sign in between, so minus. Then Q into 3Q. We may write minus 3Q. So the value of root 2 is coming out to be P minus 3Q upon Q. Now see, as we know that P and Q are co-prime integers. So P and Q are integers, so this value will come out to be integer. So again, this is in form of P upon Q. But look at the LHS. This is root 2, which we have already proved that this is not rational. It is an irrational number which cannot be written in form of P upon Q, which we are doing in this case. It means what we are getting here, this proves that root 2 is rational, but root 2 is irrational, as we have proved. So what we have to write, this result, in every part we have to find out the value of radical part. Means here we have to shift this 3 to right hand side. Here we have to take reciprocal of this or cross multiply, then shifting. Here we have to send this 5 to RHS. This way we have to proceed. We calculate the value of number with radical sign. That will come in some combination of P and Q, which will be a rational number in every case. But the rational number on RHS is not equals to a number which is root 2, which we have already proved that it is irrational. So this is wrong. So we prove that this is root 2 is rational here according to this discussion, but it is irrational. So finally we can write our assumption is wrong, that 3 plus root 2 is rational. Hence, it is irrational. C. जब हमने इसको शिफ्ट करके रूट 2 का वैल्यू निकाला तो ये एक रेशनल फॉर्म में आता है. तो हमने बोला कि ये रेशनल है इसके अकॉर्डिंग, बट जैसा कि हम जानते हैं रूट 2 इरेशनल होता है. तो हमने जो अजम्पशन लिया था वो गलत है कि वो रेशनल है। सो ये रेशनल नहीं है तो कैसा होगा, इरेशनल। सो दिस इज हाउ वी प्रूव दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन. Now let me discuss these parts, that how we find out this value, this particular part I am writing here. Like for 3 root 2, 3 root 2 will be written as p upon q. So we need the value of root 2. So you may write root 2 is equals to p by 3q. This is in multiplication, so this will go to right hand side. So this we will get. For 1 by root 2, for 1 by root 2, you will be writing 1 by root 2 is equals to p by q. Just take, there are two ways. Just take reciprocal of this. So we will get root 2 upon 1 is equals to q by p. So here we are getting root 2 is equals to q by p. Again, it is a rational number. So this is wrong. That we have to write in that solution part. The second part of this cross multiplication. So we will get q is equals to root 2p. So in the very next step we will be writing q by p. So that same result is coming out here. So this is how we deal like this. And finally root 2 minus 5, this will be written as p by q. So from here root 2 will come out to be p by q plus 5. If we take 1, then this will be root 2 is equals to, if we take LCM it will be q, cross multiply it, so q into 1 q. So it is p plus, then q into 5 will be 5q. So again this result, it is a rational. So we are proving that root 2 is rational, but this fact is wrong. So our assumption root 2 minus 5 is equals to rational is wrong. So it is irrational. Here 1 upon root 2 is rational, it is wrong. So it is irrational. Here 3 root 2 is rational, it is again wrong. So it is irrational. So this is all about this whole discussion about irrational number. I hope you understood this. Thank you. So now let us come to the remaining part, last topic, that is about rational numbers. Before going to that, I just want to discuss decimal expansion of real numbers, means rational and irrational both. So as we know that this can be divided into two parts, real numbers. Real numbers can be divided into two parts, that is rational and irrational. So as far as rational numbers are concerned, the decimal expansion is of two types. First, it is terminating type. Second is non-terminating. Second is non-terminating recurring, or we can call it repeating also then. And terminating and non-terminating recurring, and irrational has only one type, that is non-terminating, and here also non-repeating. So it is non-terminating, non-recurring. This you must have studied in class 9th. So this is the basic idea about decimal expansion of rational and irrational number. In other words, we can say decimal expansion of real numbers. So for rational numbers, there are only two types, terminating and non-terminating recurring. Let us discuss some examples. Like for terminating type of numbers, we can use any decimal number, or suppose I write 2 by 5. We divide 2 by 5, we will be able to get 0.4, means it is terminating after one decimal place. So that is why it is called terminating. Now, if we take an example like 1 by 3, again 2 upon 5 was in form p by q. This is 1 by 3, right? Again it is in form of p by q, but its decimal expansion is like this, 0.001. 3, 3, 3, 3, it will keep on coming. We can also write it as 0.3 bar. So this is how we write. Non-terminating, it is not terminated, that is why we are writing this till infinity. Then here there is a repetition of a single digit or two digit or three digit, but there will be a repetition after some time. So this is two types of decimal expansion for rational number, that is terminating and non-terminating recurring. Now let us come to irrational part. In irrational part, the decimal will be non-terminating as well as non-recurring, like 0.10, then it can be 100, 1000, 1 4 times 0, and so on. Means it seems like it is repeating, but there is a difference. Earlier it was 10, then 100, then 1000, right? If we look in the decimal part, it is 10, then 100, 1000, and so on. So it is non-terminating and non-repeating. So these kind of decimal expansions come under irrational numbers. But in case of rational number, one type is terminating, where after some digits it will be terminated, means there will be no repetition of division, or in case of non-terminating there will be repeated division. Now whenever there is terminating type of decimal, then it means whenever the division process will be complete, the remainder will be 0. In that case only we can write terminating decimal expansion. Now our whole discussion is on rational number, and in rational number 2 only terminating decimal. So now let us concentrate on terminating decimal type of rational numbers. So here in this, as we are saying, it is terminating. Now there may be a question like, if we are writing 4 by 5, after how many digits the decimal expansion of this, it will be, remainder will be 0. It will be terminated after how many digits? So for this, what we have to do? We have to divide the numerator by denominator. We cannot divide, so we write 0 and we put decimal, then it can be divided very easily 8 times. So we get remainder 0. So the answer is 0.8. So we can say the answer here 0.8. The decimal part is 8. So it is terminating after only one decimal place. There may be some other example like 0.3245, 324516. So if it is a decimal number, it is a rational number, as we can write upon 1 and remove this decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits are there in decimal part, so it is terminating after 6 digits. Now when I remove this, there is a surprising result, that is we are getting a very unique number in the denominator for every number. Like if we write 0.8 in this, if we remove the decimal we will get 10. If we take 0.25, we remove decimal, we get 100. If I write 1.325, I remove decimal, we get 1000, and so on. Means in the denominator, if it is terminating decimal, then in denominator we have only a special kind of number, that is 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, and so on. Now, when we look at the denominators of all these numbers, there is a uniqueness in it that we have to discuss. Like for rational numbers having terminating decimal expansion, for rational number having terminating decimal expansion, there will be a uniqueness in it, that is the denominator the denominator will be having numbers like 10, 100, 1000, 10,000 and so on. Now when we look at this 10 can be written as 10 power 1, 100 can be written as 10 power 2, 1000 can be written as 10 power 3, 10,000 can be 10 power 4 and so on. So when we look at the denominators, we have numbers in powers of 10 only. This is a really important fact for us that I am going to include in my next discussion, that the denominator will be in 10 and 10 or powers of 10. So in denominator, if it is 10 or 100 for example, then the factors of 10 will be 2 into 5. If it is 100, then factors will be 2 into 2 into 5 into 5. If we look at this, it can be easily written 2 into 5 into 2 into 5. What we are getting? 2 into 5 whole square means 10 power 2. As I told you earlier, that can be written as 10 power 2. So when we look at the factors, it is 2 into 5 power 2. Here we are getting 2 into 5 power 2 into 5. Here we are getting 2 into 5 power 2. If we take 1000, surely it can be written as 10 power 3, and 10 can be written as 2 into 5 whole power 3. So it is 2 power 3 into 5 power 3. So what we are getting in the denominator of terminating decimal type rational numbers, we have only two factors, that is 2 and 5 in all cases. If it is one decimal place, then the factors will be 2 and 5. If it is two decimal places, then factors will be 2 and 5 twice. Then if it is three decimal places, then 2 and 5 three times. So in all the cases we are getting only two factors, that is 2 and 5. What does it mean? The denominator of a rational number which have terminating decimal expansion, every number will be having only two possibilities in the denominator, factors of denominator, that is 2 or 5 or both 2 and 5. So now by using these three, we can find out the number of digits after which for any rational number, we can easily find out after how many digits it is the decimal expansion will be terminated. For example, if we take 13 upon 8, look at the denominator. This can be written as 13 upon 2 into 2 into 2. The factors of 8 is this. So this can be written as 2 power 3. Now, first thing is that we have to discuss whether it is terminating or not. This can be easily find out that the denominator is having only factors as 2 into 2 into 2. Only 2 is there in the factors, as we discussed. It can be 2, it can be 5, or it can be both. Then the decimal expansion of that rational number will be terminating. So here the power of 2 is coming out to be 3. This can be easily done, that we divide 13 by 8 and we get the answer and count the number of digits. But here you don't need to divide it and get the answer, as we have written it as 2 into 3. We can multiply it by 5 power 3. If you are multiplying in denominator, it should be done in numerator also. So finally what we are getting, 13 into 125 upon, in denominator we can write it as 2 into 5 whole power 3. So what we are getting, 13 into 125 upon 10 power 3. So finally it is, whatever number we will get here, it will be 13 into 125 upon 1000. So in denominator there is 10 power 3, means whatever number we will get in this multiplication, it will be having 3 decimal places. So we can say for this rational number 13 upon 8, it will terminate after 3 digits. So how we did it without division, that we calculated the factors of denominator, that is 2 power 3. Now we are multiplying with, we need 10 in the denominator, so we have to multiply with 5 to make it 10, as in 10 there are only two factors, 2 and 5. So here it was power 3, so we have to multiply by power 3 only. Now suppose if we take an example in which we have factors like this. So we were discussing about this. So it was 1 upon 2 power 3 and 5 power 2. So the maximum power of either 2 or 5 is 3. So we have to make it equal. So we cannot divide it by 2 here, but we can multiply it by 5 easily. So we multiplied it by 5 so that the power of 5 become 3. So 2 power 3 into 5 power 3 can be written as 10 power 3. So we can say it will terminate after 3 decimal places. Now look at this. When we are adding 2 power 3 in the denominator, it was terminating after 3 digits. When we have maximum power of 2 is 3, then again it is terminating after 3. What does it mean? If we have a question like this, 5 power 4 into 2 power 1. Now, after how many digits this will terminate? The answer is very simple. The highest power of 5 or 2 is 4. So it will be terminating after 4 digits, which can be easily proved if we multiply 2 power 3 in both numerator and denominator. In this way we can find out the number of decimal places in the rational number.